I'm Executive Chairman at Offa, which is a financial institution that does property investment finance in a Sharia compliant way. You've got to be a starter. That's essential because that's the ignition, that's the starter motor. I'm moving now. But then do I just fade away at the first obstacle? If you go out seeking awards for awards' sake, it actually isn't the right approach. Do what you do well, yeah, and then the recognition comes. My name is Sultan Choudhury. I'm Executive Chairman at Offa, which is a financial institution that does property investment finance in a Sharia compliant way, really helping property investors build their portfolio, help them acquire properties, and now, because we've just been FCA regulated, we're also going to be helping homeowners shortly. So I started off after university, where I did economics, econometrics, and went into accountancy. Quite a well-trodden route. Qualified as a chartered accountant back in '97, I think it was. And after that, I joined one of my clients, which was a stockbroker. So I was helping people buying and selling trades online. It was one of the largest and first online stockbrokers. So it was innovative, it's pioneering. Then there was a stock market crash. The owners of a business sold the business to one of the large high street banks. So I ended up there with a lot of departments. I ended up in banking. Didn't particularly enjoy that relative to what I did before, but it was a very good experience. And then the opportunity came to set up the first Islamic bank. So I kind of joined a small founding management team. And that's, I guess, when the excitement started. You know, we literally put together the call center, drove the white van, connected the wires, parameterized the system. And mashallah, the first Islamic bank in the Western Hemisphere, I guess, Western Europe started. And that was a tremendous learning journey. Well, there was tremendous fanfare when the first Islamic bank to be licensed in the West came out. I think they estimated, I think 1 billion people had exposure to the news article. We opened in Edgware Road, in those days, the heart of the Arab community. And we had a lot of attention, it was in all the mainstream news. And actually we opened our doors and a lot of people queued up, right? And we had this debit card, and it was, had quite an interesting design. It was calligraphic, the Arabic calligraphy, it was bright colors. And a lot of Muslims wanted that card. It was like a badge of honor, right? I'm more Muslim than anybody else, but I've got an Islamic Bank of Britain account, right? And they would use that. And so it was very exciting. Of course, there was again another financial crash. If you remember the big Lehman Brothers crash. And a lot of small banks, because you need to have a big balance sheet and you need to start withstanding the turmoil in the market. So that was a very difficult time, and there were a lot of changes. I became CEO in 2011, and the bank was loss-making, and we had to really, we had a challenging time, but we kind of re-energized our strategy, moved it to a technology focus, streamlined operations, and focused on that real estate financing, and built, mashallah, a profitable bank, £2 billion balance sheet by the time I left in 2019. And now I'm using all that experience at Offa, which is a technologically based real estate finance company, all done in a Sharia compliant way, in an ethical way, paperless, fast, good customer service. That's what we try and pride ourselves on. Yeah, so it's Offa as opposed to Offer, so people often get confused. So it's OFFA. So King Offa, and he was a king in the 700s. I mean, we're talking a long time ago, 1400 years ago. And this king was the largest king in what is now England. And there were 7 kingdoms in England. I think his kingdom was called Mercia. It was based in the Midlands near Birmingham. That's where his capital was. But his vassal kingdoms included what's now London and East Anglia and all of this sort of stuff. So it was the most powerful king and the biggest kingdom. But why is that relevant to Islamic finance? Well, he had a coin minted, which was essentially a gold dinar. And it was, the gold coin, and on one side it said Offa X, King Offa. On the other side, though, it said La ilaha illallah. This is in the late 700s, mid to late 700s. So 1400 years ago, kings here, the people of this island, were trading and interacting with the early Muslims. And it's an amazing story, right? That Islam and Islamic finance has been on this island for over 1,000 years, over 1,400 years or whatever. And this was only within a couple of generations of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's an amazing story. It really brings home our link, in this country as Muslims, that actually that link goes back into the distant past. Islam and Islamic finance is not a stranger to this island. And there's a belonging here that people underestimate. That interaction's been going on for hundreds of years. So you've got to be judicious about using AI. There's dangers of AI as well. So we don't want people to be, adversely impacted by AI, because there's an inherent bias in AI. So we do use what we call credit scorecards. But the key thing about Offa is that fairness is built in because it's, to a degree, it's what we call assisted underwriting. So you get, the AI helps us, or the credit scorecard, as we call it, helps us make a decision, but there's a human touch. And so I think that's quite reassuring for our customers. You're not a number. You're not just just another number. You're still a person. You've still got aims and ambitions, and we really empathize with that. It's really important because it's an antidote to some of the negativity, right? The awards, Islam Channel Business Awards, are highlighting role models. The process is rigorous. So I've been a judge before, I've been a recipient and a judge again, and I know the process is robust. It's independent judges. We go through a robust scoring, methodology. It's fair, it's unbiased. And the key thing here is, and the people who make it as finalists and the people that win it are role models, that success can be built by Muslims, that actually we are a successful community, and that there's a pathway to being a role model and being successful. And if you have that, then you inspire others in your sector, in your segment, and there's a wide range of segments in the Islam Channel Awards. So you may be working in catering or hospitality, and there's an award, there's an inspiration that you can look to there. If you're in financial services, you can look to a financial services company. If you're in big business or small business, those awards are there. Really important. As I said, it's an antidote to negativity, because Muslims are human. And if you just read the mainstream press, they're low socioeconomic status, they're in poverty, they're in inner city areas, deprived areas. But actually, it then overwhelms the positive news that is out there. That Muslims contribute so much, whether it's charity, whether it's business. You're far more likely to be an entrepreneur as a Muslim. So I look for two things. I look for solid basics or solid foundations. So I want people to be successful, but to be successful, some of it's based on a platform of what appears to be mundane, but is essential. What do I mean by that? Being on top of your numbers, having a strong vision, having a product that has some differentiation, knowing your target market, knowing how you're going to reach that market, putting it together and articulating it, having a very clear business model, how a profit's going to be generated, or how am I going to be, if you're a social enterprise, how am I generating surplus, right? Really important. That's what I call the fundamentals. Then beyond that, I'm looking for that little bit of inspiration, that purpose, that extra je ne sais quoi, as the French might say. That little bit of something that I can say, hey, these guys have got that special ingredient that is going to take what I call a well-run business and actually going to make it a special business. I would say to an entrepreneur, a budding entrepreneur, let's call him a budding entrepreneur, you don't need to strive for perfection day one, because it's a journey, it's a direction, and you have to sometimes bulldoze the obstacles, mental obstacles first of all. So when you face a challenge or an issue, or there's a little bit of, can I go to the trouble of sometimes filling out the forms, going for a grant, doing the grunt work, you've got to have that self-driven energy that, hey, I'm going to just kind of bulldoze those, right? And that's really important. That's what I call drive, yeah? That drive is key, yeah? And then I think once you've got that persistence, so you've embarked. A lot of people are starters, they're not finishers, or they're not completers. And you need a bit of everything. But you've got to be a starter. That's essential because that's the ignition. That's the starter motor. I'm moving now. But then do I just fade away at the first obstacle? The first rejection or the second rejection? Well, you'll find entrepreneurs, and it's very well documented. They face rejection very, very well. I mean, Dyson, how many prototypes did he do? Persistence and optimism. And this is why I was talking about the perfection piece. They don't let perfection get in the way of moving forward. So it's a balance. And people, as you get experienced, you know the level you need to do to move forward. That doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for excellence. Excellence and perfection are different things. Excellence in character, excellence in how you behave with your staff, with your customers, with your suppliers. Excellence is different. Perfection is sometimes can lead to over-engineering, and you don't need to do that. That balance takes time, but the good entrepreneurs learn it. I was deeply privileged to get that award, the Dr. Tun Mahathir award. First of all, the individual himself, the name of the award is actually a great honor in itself, because it's somebody who's one of the founding fathers of a country. I mean, it's a country that is much loved by Muslims who are not Malaysian. It's an inspirational country. It's a small country that's done tremendously well, from the developed world into from the developing world into the developed world. It's a fantastic country, and he's had tremendous achievements. So when somebody with amazing achievements at a national, global level, you get an award named after him, and I met him as well afterwards. It's a deep privilege and a deep honor. But in terms of its importance, I've often said, and I've mashallah, had many awards all my life, from school right through to this very day. But if you go out seeking awards for awards' sake, it actually isn't the right approach. Do what you do well, yeah, and then the recognition comes. That doesn't mean you shouldn't apply for Islam Channel Awards and we're going to pick you out of blue. You've still got to showcase your talents, your wares, your products, but that's not the primary objective. The primary objective is to do what you're doing well. You're presenting what you do well to other people, and you may get recognized. But we don't seek that.